Okay, we are live everywhere that you consume BGST content. Welcome back to the podcast. We're doing a live recording for you guys today. And if you've read the description, you know what's going on. We're doing part 2 of the infinite battle of man versus machine. Doug is going in 100% blind. He has no idea what questions I asked ChatGPT and our new challenger Bard, which is the Google-backed AI this round. And let's see what happens. Let's get into it. Great experiences build great leaders. Great leaders build great teams. This is Building Great Sales Teams.
Sorry.
All right, so Doug wanted to introduce himself. Go ahead, my man.
Why can't we just have ChatGPT and Bard introduce me? I mean, they can do everything else. They're taking over. If you're not with AI, you're lost. You know, all that bullshit that we hear all the time. Anyways, go ahead.
So, as you can see, there is an animosity that Doug has with technology. It's kind of ridiculous.
I use it, but I just don't think it's the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Copywriters love it, marketers love it because it does half of their job for them, and that's great for them. But
that is true.
These people going on Facebook saying, if you're not learning ChatGPT, you're going to fall behind. No, you're just going to be a little slower. But if your shit's better, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and also, like, all post-apocalyptic shows that I ever seen, they are definitely like, there is no internet. Like, there's a new Netflix show. It's a cartoon. It's really dumb. I don't recommend it. I don't even remember the name, but I binged it. Anyway, the world ends, aliens come, there's no internet. So unless they can beat that, they're always going to lose.
I got one for you, and this is incredibly realistic, okay? This could actually happen. And if China attacked us, this is how they would attack us, okay? And so we might get banned from Facebook for saying this. But if they did, though, it would be an EMP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would be a nuclear EMP, right? And so that would take out any form of electronics with radio waves, communication, any electronic. Your vehicles won't work. You know what I'm saying? Eventually your water systems will shut off because those are ran by electronics. You won't have air conditioning because that's ran by electronics. You know what I'm saying? And for real, that's when this shit's gonna hit the fan. You know what I'm saying? And if you got some chickens and some land and some guns, you're gonna be all right.
Shameless plug right there. There, I was waiting for it. But no, let's get into it. So I asked Chat and Bard about branding this go around. This is what I centered the whole episode around, is going to be branding. I know we preach building your machine, so this is going to be, how would Chat GPT and Bard tackle branding? Are you ready?
Man, I like how it puts me at a disadvantage because I'm not an expert in branding. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody thinks they're an expert in everything, but I know my lane, you know? And so I'm very interested to see how this will go.
All right, so let's do the easiest question first. I feel like you kind of have this one. I asked ChatGPT and Bard, what are the top 3 ways to build a personal brand? Doug, go ahead and go first so we can hear your answers before we get into the experts.
Oh no, if I got to do this blind, then I want to hear their answers first. No, it's fine. I'll go first. I'll put it all out there. Okay. So ask me the question one more time.
What are the top 3 ways to build a personal brand?
I would say the number one way is your messaging is in your messaging. and you have to be authentic. You have to have integrity. Like everything you're saying and doing, if you put a sentence in there, you should run 5 miles every morning at 8 a.m. Your ass better be running 5 miles every morning at 8 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And so there's that piece of it. And then there's, you know, integrity and authenticity from experience, right? And so if you're putting something out there and it's how to make 10 grand in a month, you better have made 10 grand in a month 30 months in a row. You know what I'm saying? Consistently over time. And then, the last piece I would say is a lot of people portray nothing but the positive stuff. And I think in order to have a deep and resonating brand, you have to be able to portray the negative stuff. And I'm not talking about like, the guy that gets on stage and says, I did drugs, I went to jail, I did all that, and look at me now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yesterday, I had to figure out how to make payroll. You know what I'm saying? Like today, I've got to figure out how to service 15 clients, you know what I mean, at once. And I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I am an expert in this niche, but I'm being honest about what's happening. I'm being honest about the journey all the way through. So the number one thing I would say is be authentic. The second thing I would say is be consistent, right? Be consistent. And going back to the messaging, you got to be consistent in your messaging. All you've ever really heard from me on a consistent basis is Kodak, building great sales teams, and Kodak and building great sales teams. You know what I mean? I've told my story about me and my wife. You see the personal stuff because I'm a human being. I like to post that stuff. But for the most part, what you get from me are those two things. And then I'll throw in some VA leverage. I'll throw in some podcasting because now we have a lot of experience in that. And I'll throw in operations and systems because my Kodak system and my sales programs come from an operation and systems philosophy. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a consistent message. And then you can't go on my Facebook and see a Monday through Friday where I haven't posted 1 to 2 times a day for the past 2 years straight. The podcast, we've done 3 episodes a week for the past year consistently. Haven't missed one. Have never missed one. I can't get over that stat. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. But so that's like
Shameless plug. Get yourself a Ryan.
exactly right. Yeah. Oh.
Get yourself a Ryan. I'm over here. He's over there. It's like I'm gonna change that real quick. Let's just. There we go. But yes, man. No, super consistent with that. I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
And so the first one, be authentic. The second one, be consistent. Oh, and I guess the third one has got to be different. Like if you're taking something you learn from someone else and then just regurgitating it, oh man, this drives me nuts because it happens so much in masterminds. It does. It happens so much. Somebody that actually knows what they're talking about will get on stage and present a concept. You know what I'm saying? And then for the next couple weeks, you're having conversations with everybody in the mastermind. Y'all are chopping it up, whatever the case is, and they will regurgitate that information. You know what I'm saying? And it's like over and over again. You start hearing it again. And then all of a sudden the other leaders in that mastermind group will start doing the same thing. And it drives me nuts because it doesn't come a place from experience and execution. It comes from a place of theory. You know what I'm saying? Because so-and-so said it works. I believe it works. So now I'm going to preach this and now I'm going to make it part of my brand. You know what I'm saying? Which that's a very thin line to dance. You know what I'm saying? So be authentic, be consistent, and be original, not be different, be original, I would say.
I absolutely like those answers. I don't know if I love them, but I like them.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do ChatGPT first. He's the incumbent AI, so let's knock him out.
I want to point something out here. That is off the cuff. I don't have a database of 5 million freaking bits of information or 5 trillion gazillion bits of information that I'm getting that from. I got my little brain here. And that was off the cuff. And be authentic, be consistent, and be original. Oh, come on. I could write up a whole freaking speech on that now.
That was good. No, that was really good. I appreciate you. And then ChatGPT and Bard are now connected to the internet. So like they are just constantly getting information. They just got new information from the time I typed it out till now. So
Ooh, okay.
that's deep, but I'm not gonna re-ask the question.
Okay.
So number one, ChatGPT says to build your personal brand is to define your brand identity. Start by defining your personal brand identity that involves understanding your values, strengths, passions, and unique qualities that set you apart from others.
Be original.
Be original. Yep. So they're saying that's number one. You got to be original. If you're not original, don't even think about starting your brand, which,
That's kind of rude.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
No. Number two, create and share valuable content. So this is another one is being, I don't know, I would say it falls under authentic and consistent is how I would see that answer. Creating and sharing valuable content. Says building a personal brand requires showcasing your expertise and providing value to the target audience. One of the most effective ways to do this is by creating and sharing valuable content. This can include blog posts, articles, videos, podcasts, social media posts, or any other medium that shows your knowledge. And the last thing is engage and network. We had Bree on earlier today. And we were shooting an episode with her, and she was like, I love networking. And that's why she even started the podcast, was because she just wanted to network with other women entrepreneurs. And so I think that's a huge thing is if people don't know you, if you're not putting yourself out there, then you're not really building a brand. You're just working in silence.
Okay. So engage. I like that
Engage,
one. I'm definitely
yes.
missing that one. You know what I'm saying? So I'd give kudos to ChatGPT for that one. Bard's gonna have the same answer. I know Bard's anyway.
So here's the thing with Bard. I'm still kind of debating whether or not Bard should even exist. And I blame Google for that. I think Google jumps on things and they rarely make it better. They just make it Google, right? Like they have, I love the Google Drive. The Google Drive is amazing, but all Google Drive is Dropbox, but made Google. And that works because, you want to, I was telling you about it. I put in brick in our drive, and it pulled up every single image that had bricks in it. Without brick didn't have to be in the name. It just had a brick somewhere in the photo and it was pulling it up. So that's cool. So here's how Bard answered that question. They said, define your personal brand. That's what we said. Consistent, be consistent. It's another one that is what we said. And then be visible. So that's the last one. I guess that kind of goes with engage and network. What do you think?
That's a good point. I'll give kudos to Bard for that one because you can post all you want and have 20 followers. And I'll give credit to Chris Morrison for this one. I went into his group. He's got a group. What is that group called? I just joined it. And I want to plug it, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a client of ours now. So I want to make sure I give him a shout out here. So he's got a group called Organic Marketing and Sales Secrets for Marketing Experts and Consultants, right? And so what he said in the group was, you can have the best message in the world, but it doesn't matter if you don't have an audience. You know what I'm saying? So he was a proponent of adding 50 people to your group per day, and building that audience out. And then you have someone to actually market to, or add 50 people to your Facebook per day and then building that audience out. So I think that is a good point. So I think if you put together, be authentic, be consistent, be original, engage, and then what did they say about audience? Have an audience, Bard?
I was saying be visible.
Be visible, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think you put those 5 together, you got everything you need right there.
The ultimate answer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're watching this episode, just transcribe everything Doug said, what Bard and ChatGPT said, and then now you have a bestseller on Amazon. I promise you. And that's how you build a brand.
Yeah, and then if you want the tactical advice, like the actual applicable advice, then you get Drewby's book,
Then you
Social
get
Media
Drewby's book.
Mastery, I think it's called. Yeah.
Yes. And then you crush the day before it crushes you, and you call the leads.
Call the damn leads.
Call the damn leads. Yeah, you got
Dude,
to call them.
the plugs are off the charts right now. Now that this is a goal, I'm going to be plugging people the rest of this episode. That's what we're doing. You're going to have a fun time tagging everybody in the show notes.
Oh, geez. Okay, so next question, just because this is near and dear to my heart. Can you give me top 3 reasons why a podcast helps your business? Top 3 reasons why a podcast helps your business. Who do you want to go first? Do you want to go first? Do you want Chat, Bard? Who are we looking at?
I'll go first. The first reason is your confidence. First reason is your confidence, right? You're having a conversation at least once a week. Most people do podcasts once a week. And typically, because you now have a platform, you're getting people that are maybe like on another level than you. Maybe they're a step up in the rung or in a lateral space, whatever the case is. But you're having these conversations, you're learning as you're having them, right? So I love having sales experts on my podcast. I love having people that have built massive sales teams on my podcast, because what happens every time? What just happened with gosh, I can't say his last name. Jeff Geo Navico. With Jeff, like
You didn't say that
just,
right, but
yeah, I know I didn't. Like we were just Janakovo, Jeff Janakovo. I just had him on my podcast, and he has built huge teams, done millions and millions of dollars in business, and is a consultant now. And me and him were just so freaking aligned. And every answer he had, I'm like a cheerleader over here, raising the roof. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, it reinforces, your systems, values, strategies, skill set, right? And then having those conversations makes you into a better public speaker. 100% it does. I would not have been able to get up on those stages and execute like I did if I hadn't already done 50 episodes of the podcast and had my brand out in front of people all the time, right? And so I think how many what's the number one reason, or what was the question again? So that's the first reason. The first benefit.
Top 3 reasons is what I said for having a podcast, or why it helps your business.
Okay, so the second one is it builds authority, right? When you can have somebody that is, okay, let's just say me, for instance, right? I'm going to start a podcast tomorrow about brain surgery. Okay? I don't know the first thing about freaking brain surgery, right? But I'm going to start a podcast tomorrow about brain surgery, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on Google and I'm going to ask how to conduct brain surgery. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to do a little research, and I'm going to find like a little niche area, and I'm going to research a little niche area. And my first episode of my podcast is going to be like that little niche area about brain surgery, about connecting two neurons and firing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I literally no experience, no nothing, right? And then I'm going to focus on that area again. I'm going to, put out 20 more episodes and talk about nothing but that, right? And so if you put me up against an actual brain surgeon with a degree and 20 years experience, but has no, papers written, no branding, no anything, authority, and you see, oh, well, Doug Mitchell is claiming to be a brain surgeon and he's got a podcast that has 20 episodes deep on brain surgery. When I listen to him, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I might pull that crap off. Now, I only say all that to illustrate a point. Authority is powerful, and having your own podcast around a certain subject makes you the authority on that subject, whether you're qualified or not. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying it's a reality. Okay. So what you call your podcast is important, because that is going to build your authority around that subject line. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds like what we had going on in 2020. All these random experts on respiratory diseases that popped up. It was just just a bunch of people who started podcasts. They got a blue check mark on Twitter, and they were like running policy for a good 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
another thing,
actually know what you're talking about and run the podcast, and you're golden.
you're golden. You're
Golden. So first one was
confidence.
first one was it builds your confidence. Second one was it builds your authority. And then third one, it builds lead generation. It does, straight up. You know what? No, scratch that. It builds value. It builds value, which then in turn builds lead gen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say builds your confidence, builds authority, and it builds value. And so you're putting, we've got 170 something episodes out in the marketplace on a myriad of different things around building great sales teams. And if somebody wanted to just start from scratch and build a sales team, they could with the podcast alone. There's huge, massive value in that. The reels and clips that we put out on social media, all they have to do is spark an idea in someone else or spark a lack of execution in something somebody's doing, and then they go and fix that, and it can make them thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions, right? And so value is incredibly important, and reciprocity is real. You know what I mean? And so when somebody perceives value from something that you're doing, they want to return the favor, whether it's putting you on, sharing your podcast. And it may not necessarily be that the lead or the dollar is going to come from that person. It may be that it's going to come from the person that they shared and saw your episode. So build confidence. It builds confidence, it builds authority, and it builds value.
That is amazing. I love that. Confidence is key whenever you're conducting business. If you don't seem confident, I'm not willing to work with you. The authority is also super important. I would rather go to someone who knows what they're talking about versus someone who doesn't, or doesn't seem like they know what they're talking about. And then you said the last thing was the adding of the value. Let's jump over to Bard first, right? So Bard says it builds authority and credibility as the number one reason why your business should have a podcast. When you share your knowledge and expertise on a podcast, you position yourself as an authority in your field, and this can attract new customers and clients. Next was reach a new audience. I think that's huge, especially kind of what we do with this podcast. I joined a couple of podcasting groups, which is like, my goodness, I'm becoming like my friend Dallin. He the only reason why I got into podcasting was because he was like, "Hey Ryan, you're jobless. I got nothing to do. Let's start a podcast." And I did not know what podcasts were, but ever since then, I've become a podcast nerd, and it's all his fault. It's really sad. But you do reach a new audience. With our podcast, we are reaching out to people who are diversity and inclusion experts. We had someone who I had reached out to, who's gotten back to me, who claims to have been a hostage for 5 years. Just a bunch of stuff that opens up your audience to new people all over the place.
Yeah, like the tech space and the B2B space, the softwares that go along with that. I mean, we've met a myriad of amazing people.
And we've used some of their products, and they actually work really well. StreamYard, we're using StreamYard because Doug was a guest on a podcast, and they had StreamYard. And then lastly, it says to engage with your audience. So this is so politics aside, one thing that 45 did that changed the landscape was being extremely active on Twitter, right? Once you can reach your audience where they're at, it changes the game for you, I think. And I think so engaging with your audience, I think that's a really important aspect of having that podcast. That's Bard. So Google, I feel like it's a good answer, Google.
So
Now,
for us, I guess, simple folk, 45, is that Trump?
That is Trump. I was trying to stay out of the politics. You know, he just got indicted for or he was found civilly liable to, you know, his stuff. Current events, go look it up in CNN, Fox, and NBC.
I don't read.
Oh, that's a whole nother episode.
I got you for that.
Yeah. Trump was accused of stuff. They said he did it. What's new, right? So that was Bard. Let's jump over to ChatGPT. ChatGPT says increase visibility on your brand awareness, building trust and credibility, and then relationship building and audience engagement. So I think the top one has been the engagement and the authority. Like across the board, all three of you guys were like, yes, that is the main thing you need your podcast for, is your authority and your engagement.
So obviously I'm biased. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the first answer, I don't know. I want to score these, but I don't know how. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we don't have enough live viewers right now to be able to do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe we need to do it on the
We'll
YouTube
make a
channel.
poll. We'll make a poll in the YouTube and in our Brickyard group.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a poll.
Oh, shameless plug.
Shameless plug. We'll do a poll.
I forgot to plug everybody. I could have plugged all throughout that. Oh yeah. So when the reason that I even know the benefits of a podcast is because of Ryan Stewman and Apex and a little program called Building Your Machine. And so I executed on that program, and now I have a podcast.
And it was started by Sebastian Rusk. So Sebastian Rusk helped us.
Yeah, Sebastian Rusk was my consultant, helped me launch the podcast, and I'll see him next week at $1 Million Mastermind.
There you go.
If you haven't gotten your tickets, get your tickets so you can hang out with me, maybe even hang out in my podcast trailer that was built by
Patrick
Bolanos.
Yeah.
That was built by Patrick Bolanos, which
there you go.
Nobody else has a podcast trailer like I do. And we're just now starting a business doing that, doing local interviews. Rinsing out the podcast trailer, but we did local interviews with people like Kai and Bree Logue. I could do this all day. I could do this all day.
Oh man, I need somebody to keep a tally of names that he just said, so I can just put them all.
You know, you can rap, but I can plug. You know what I'm saying? You're the only two people having fun right now.
This is what happens
on a Wednesday.
It's been a long week, man. It's been a long week. But yes, authority, confidence, value, engagement, all those, trust, credibility, all those things super important whenever you want to run your business properly, and podcasts help with all of those things. We were already having fun, but I threw another fun one in there. It's a nice little debate for us to have in future episodes with your friends and all that good stuff. What are the top 3 states in the United States of America that have the best barbecue?
That's easy. Texas, and Texas. It's not even close. Okay? Like, it's not even, I'm sorry. I've had Georgia barbecue. I've had, barbecue from New Orleans, Louisiana. I've had, you don't even need to go to the west side of the freaking country. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of stay central and then go east a little bit and then stop when you start reaching the beach, because it gets bad over there. They start putting seafood in it and stuff, and it doesn't work out. But there is an art form. Like what is the point? Anybody outside of Texas smokes meat, right? And then what do they do after they're done smoking it and before they serve it?
Smother it in sauce.
What's the point? Just throw it in a crock pot and then throw the sauce on top afterwards. That's how I feel about your barbecue.
You are so passionate. You are so passionate. if you had to give a fourth and a fifth place, since the first three were Texas, if you had to give a fourth and a fifth place, what would you what would you give them?
All right. I gotta say, who has the whole pig? North Carolina or South Carolina?
I
You're
don't.
from North Carolina.
I am from Georgia, sir. My
Oh.
parents are. My dad is from North Carolina, and he don't do barbecue like that. He don't do pig, so we don't do swine.
Mm-hmm. And of course, they're giving me other countries, not states. But I'm gonna say South Carolina. I'm pretty sure that they have the whole
Okay.
pig market tapped. Like I won't go up against them on a whole pig, but I will go up against them on a rack of ribs. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I would say South Carolina number 2, and then maybe Louisiana number 3 because they got that Cajun mix to it. You know what I mean? Which I appreciate. But Florida, don't even. What a joke of a barbecue state.
All right, so that was fun. So you want to hear the answers? You ready for this?
Sure.
GPT number 1, Texas. Number 2, Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah. Sauce.
And number 3 is North Carolina.
Okay, so it's North Carolina for the whole pig. So I changed my answer to North Carolina. Okay. That's got to be it.
So number 3 was North Carolina. That's ChatGPT, right? It says the whole state of Texas. Missouri is just Kansas City.
Yeah.
And then North Carolina is the whole state of North Carolina. We jump over to Bard, and Google says number 1 is Texas. Number 2 is Tennessee. Number 3 is North Carolina.
Tennessee.
Yeah, it says it's best known for its pork ribs and the barbecue sauces. That is.
No.
I'm just reading what. Don't
you know what? And the only reason KC even gets in there is because of the freaking sauce. You know, like I mean the on the shelf sugar and freaking tomato sauce that they have up there, which is terrible. But that's the only reason people think good barbecue comes from there is because of the branding. They got good branding. They probably have a podcast about Kansas City.
They have a podcast about sauces. You know who should start a podcast about sauces?
Adam. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I have a name. It's like on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna find it real quick.
I can't believe I can't remember his last name in this moment. My brain's not working. But Adam, Wild Man Barbecue.
Wild Man Firewood, yeah.
Firewood, yes.
There we go. He needs a podcast.
Oh, that's right, the plug.
On barbecue sauce.
Yeah,
and then he might be able to change the branding of the world. Yeah.
He also has Prime Barbecue, which is the monthly subscription box for barbecue lovers. 100%. And
Not sponsored.
He worked with Greg Michelman originally on that, who has a commercial electricity company out of New York. I'm trying here. I can't remember exactly what Greg does, but I know it's in a blue collar labor field for sure.
And from New York, Alexander Hamilton. He's on the $10 bill, I think. I don't remember. I don't carry cash.
What?
Hamilton. He's from New York.
Am I missing the? Is this a plug? What is happening here?
You took it to New York, so I had to bring something about New York.
Well, Jay-Z would have made more sense at that point.
But yes,
wasn't everybody from New York back in the day, or Philadelphia at least? Isn't that how that worked?
No, majority were from Virginia. That's why the capital is in the DMV area.
Oh man, I'm bad.
It's a history lesson for all.
My kids know more history than I do right now. As soon as I realized I didn't need the history, I forgot it. Jeff would be pissed because
history is the most important. But yes, so as you all can see, we've started the open debate. Any guest who comes on here from here on out, plug your favorite barbecue. The internet says that it is Texas. So you got to change the internet, but I don't think you can. Texas for the win.
It's not even close. like
Texas is
just
the
the
promised land.
distance. Yes. You know, I go up to Chicago every year for the Chicago Bub City Music Festival, something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but not only are like 50% plus of the joints that go up there, that travel up there and get boosts and everything and win the competition are from Texas, but it's all Texas country. You know what I mean? It's all Texas country acts. You know what I'm saying? And now it's gotten so big that the Texas country is drawing more than the dang food. You know, it used to be like Myron Mixon and all the barbecue personalities would show up there, but now it's the Texas country acts that are pulling everybody.
Texas is taking over the world. Get with it or get lost.
Yeah.
That's
Just
how I feel about it.
come on through, but just don't come to the cities. Like start settling in the freaking outskirts. You know what I mean? And get ready for the EMP. All right, get some acreage. We're going sideways, man. You gave me a mic with no plan.
Oh man,
I'm getting banned from Facebook today.
we're getting. Hey, if you get canceled, oh, no, I'm immune to canceling. Apparently,
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Okay, we gotta stop. We gotta stop, Ryan. Move on to the next one.
Okay, this is the last question I asked. What three ways are businesses utilizing AI? So go ahead, Doug. What three ways are we utilizing AI?
I would say the number one way that I see, and I'm gonna throw a caveat in here. This is small business. I mainly deal in small business, not like Fortune 500 stuff like that. Um, but I would say, man, this is tough because I'm kind of sheltered. You know what I mean? With home services, small businesses. But like if I were to step outside of that, then I would say data, 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like Jeff was talking about it this morning, and I'm plugging Jeff a lot, but we just had such a great conversation. And Jeff was talking about like you can't win against Amazon. You know what I'm saying? They have too much data. They know when you're going to buy something before you buy it, and they start advertising it to you, and then they remind you, and they put it in your cart preemptively. You know what I'm saying? Like, or that you're on a subscription, whatever the case is. But they have all your data points. They know if you've had this many AC filter changes for the same AC that you're due for service again. So now they can, send a Amazon approved technician. It's just insane, right? And so I would say mining data, right, is the number one. That's stepping outside of my circles, right? Back into my circles, I would say number two is marketing, right? And so much of these answers, the reason that I feel like if we put it up to a vote in terms of who is winning these answers, I would feel like I would win. I'm incredibly biased and I understand that. Just throwing that out there. But it's because my voice comes through in the answers. Versus if you go and Google something right now, how do I use AI? You're going to get a very standard, like, it's not going to be an article. It's going to be a very, like, SEO friendly answer. And that's what happens with the internet. Everybody wants to be SEO friendly. And so they're not going to put opinions. They're not going to speak to things that don't have massive audience or massive appeal, or universal answers. Because a lot of the answers it's giving on everything or the way that it writes is very universal, very voice of the world. You know what I'm saying? Or I should say PC voice of the world, right? And so, but that works in marketing because marketing is about presence and being in front of people. And and if you're going to constantly be in front of people, you got to come with the volume. And if you're going to come with the volume, you either have to be a writing machine or you use ChatGPT and say, come up with a, 16 touch point CRM campaign with mix it with text and email and everything. And then boom, you're done in 30 seconds. What used to take you hours. You know what I'm saying? And the sheer volume will get you results. Now, that's not saying that some of the better copywriters out there can't come in and do the same thing in 3 or 4 hours, or maybe even, 5 or 6 hours, whatever the case is, and get you better results. They're just going to cost 10 times as much. Free is hard to beat. So The first thing is data mining, right? In order to predict behavior. And then the second one is marketing. And then the third, AI. Man, I'm just not qualified for this answer. I'm really not. But the third, man, I guess customer service. You know, I've probably used 3 different types of chatbots this week. You know, one was with my mortgage company, one was with Google, uh, you know, and the workspace, and then another one was with my church. You know, and so uh, the AI conversation I had was probably about 4 or 5 messages back and forth, and then they got me where I needed to go, or they gave me the article. And so, in 2 of them, a human wasn't even involved. They got me the link of the article I needed, and then the third one, they routed me to the right person. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like customer service, they've been doing that for a while, and now it's just going to be even better with ChatGPT because it's going to be more of a conversational tone versus the standard prompts.
I'm curious as to how you use AI for a church. Like, how did that
Um,
work?
So I was changing my tithing amounts, and it
Mm,
kept going back to the original amount that I had in there. And you know, I guess it wasn't my church, it was the tithing software that popped up and was like, "Hey, do you have an issue here?" And they sent me a link and it fixed it.
that is that is. I don't think you understand how interesting that kind of stuff is to me. Like, there's a tithing system. I didn't even know that,
Hmm.
which is like that
It's called
is wild.
Secure Give. That's what it's called, Secure Give. I don't know why I
Secure.
remember. Yeah, Secure Give.
That is wild. You don't understand.
Did Does
I'm
your
about
church
to
still collect
text.
cash?
Yeah, we do.
What?
Yes, yes. So
Oh,
you
and
don't
this is Cowboy Fellowship in Jordanton, Texas. So this is not like a
oh,
super tech savvy church.
listen.
Yeah.
If you if you understood if you understood how not tech savvy, like, our pastor's notes are still on paper. Like,
Hey, if it works, you know what I'm saying? Like he
no,
commands rooms.
listen. I'm not stabbing it. I'm just saying I've never heard of
Yeah,
that,
because
and
this
that's
is
interesting.
public.
So now I
Oh,
gotta
I'm gonna
I gotta
tag you in
go.
this now.
Oh no, tag me, because now I gotta. As soon as we get off of this, I'm texting my people, be like, "Hey, have y'all heard of this? Because, like, we gotta look into this." Because, okay, so, like, how I break down my ties, and this, it's 10%, right? And then you have your
Hmm.
offering, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You can't take out coins out of an ATM, so now I'm like always rounding up, and I'm like, nah, I'm trying to give like an exact amount so I can like keep my stuff situated. Because if I like, I'll just I'll write whatever I write on our little envelope. But
Hmm.
like, if I could just pull it straight out and be like, yeah, every week this is what I'm going to be hitting. Psh, get out of here.
Yeah, and then I get
Secure
a I
give.
get an email 2 days before it draws it, making sure, just to make sure, hey, do you still want to do this amount? Because shit happens, you know what I'm saying? And so, obviously for us, for me and you, that's our first expense, but just depending on how people tithe, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
business owners, it gets a little crazy because all of a sudden you realize, hey, I didn't pay myself for a month, but I was still tithing the whole time, so it's like, how do I figure this out? So,
that is interesting. That wow, wow, wow. That's mm. You just opened my mind to a lot of stuff. Anyway, gosh, man, that just blew my left mind. Oh, okay, so getting back to the task at hand, um, Chat GPT said number one that the way that businesses are using AI is data analysis and insights. Data analysis and insights.
if you can't see me right now, I'm throwing my hands up, like I feel like I'm a genius right now. I'm not gonna lie,
It's
because
almost like they were playing his song and the butterflies flew away. He started nodding his head like yeah, moving his hips like yeah.
what the is that Shakira? What is that?
It's Miley. It's Party of the
Miley
USA.
Cyrus? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh, I'm dead. Are you kidding? The way they said that just now, I was just like, oh, he's got to be quoting somebody important. No, it turns out you weren't.
Miley is the most important voice of our generation. Okay.
That's just mean.
Data analysis and insight was number one.
Okay.
Number two was personalization and customer experience. So that was your number three. And then automation and process optimization,
Okay.
which it's like using the term in the definition.
Yeah.
AI helps with AI.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, that's incredible. Like that 2 out of 3 were like exactly the same.
Mm-hmm,
And I guess all the answers have been kind of that way with
mm-hmm.
mine. We've resonated with 2 out of 3 on the top 3. So
I think you're starting to think like Chat GPT, or
man, ChatGPT started to think like me.
maybe. And it could be that since we like run majority of your stuff through or at least I run majority of your stuff through Chat GPT, it
Mhm.
might just be learning, hey, from this IP address, everything is going to sound
Oh,
like this. That would be
that's
interesting
interesting.
if it
That
does
is
that.
interesting.
I don't know if that's how AI works, but if I were to create an AI system, which I'm not going to do, I already looked it up. It's way too difficult. I already
You
looked it
didn't
up.
know that before looking it up. You had to look
I
it up first.
I had
Oh,
to look it
this
up
is not an
first.
easy bake oven type situation.
It is it is honestly not. So okay, so like just a little background. Like I've been y'all have seen my face on this podcast for a long time. You've heard my voice. Um, one thing that I've learned from working with Doug for the past years now is that Doug has these ideas, right? He's like, hey, just get it done. And usually those ideas fall on me since I've been here. So it was like, hey, get a course started. And I started looking up different ways to build a course. And I was like, oh, I could build a course. I built out a course. Hey, we need an app. So I was like, okay, let's look at how to make an app. So I made an app. If Doug were tomorrow to be like, hey, Ryan, we need an AI, I'd be like, nah, man, no, we don't. we do, we
That'd be the
do
first time you ever told me no.
we don't need it. We do not need it, or we will shell out that $150,000 to get it made because it is no joke. I was looking at it, I was like, that is ridiculous. Um, it is
If it was
wild.
easy, everybody'd be doing it.
If it was moderately not difficult, I would be doing it, but it is difficult. It is it is scary. I'm not gonna lie, it's scary. So yeah, so I think with Chat GPT, you guys are it is becoming, I think, more user friendly than it was in the beginning. I think in the beginning it was a lot of these are the answers that the internet will tell you, and I think
Hmm.
now as it's been used by so many people, and I'm sure it's storing its own database as well as whatever it's pulling in from the internet. I think it's going to start having more of a human voice, which is kind of scary, but I'm liking the direction it's going because you jump over to Bard, which is also here. This is Google's new one. It started with the internet. It says customer service, chatbots, virtual assistants, marketing, and then
Hmm.
operations. So it is kind of the same thing, but
Yeah.
it doesn't give you like the human element of it. It's very rigid on what it is saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm digging Chat GPT. I'm not changing over to Bard anytime soon as far as my personal AI needs.
Yeah, ChatGPT, and we were joking in the beginning, like I got a bone to pick or whatever, but no. I try and put, you can tell the social media posts I put through it in terms of grammar and spelling and the ones that I don't. You know what I'm saying? And the way my brain works is not the way a sentence is composed. You know what I'm saying? And I've never taken the time to actually learn proper grammar and sentence composition, and most people haven't. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I do. I see the value in that whenever I put it into that engine, and then it spits out a very how do I say this? It's a lot easier to understand what I am trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Because the way my brain works, like I'm 3 sentences ahead by the time I write my first sentence. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to follow my writing sometimes, you know? And so I put it through that engine, and it makes it more there's another word for understanding things. It makes it more palatable is the only way I can think. You know,
Yeah.
it's easier on the eyes to read. And that being said, I think our answers are so similar because we do. Like if I had an expert answer for ways that companies use AI, but nobody knows about it and nobody can really understand it, which ChatGPT probably does, they're not going to use that answer because it's not appealing to the masses. So they're using answers that are appealing to the masses, you know, and so am I. I did the same thing with my answers, you know, and so I think because it is speaking to the masses that it's going to be kind of freaky how it resonates with a lot of your same answers, you know? So I think that's what we've seen over the last few episodes. Like,
Yep. I dig it.
I'm very curious how other people answer those questions in the same situation I'm in. The test data has to be the same, right? They haven't heard them before. They answer them on the fly. You know, I think I'm a good debater. So I'm like, I feel like I got some skill in terms of being able to turn around those answers without any research, without any, you know, but I want to hear other people do this too, for sure.
I mean, we could start hosting that kind of thing, which I think would be super fun. I don't think the world would be ready for it though, because can you imagine somebody else being on a podcast with us and trying to keep a straight face? It'd be terrible. They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. It would be horrendous. But yeah, I agree 100%. I think that as it grows, as it gets more and more connected with the average layman and more people are using it, it is going to start appealing. Like I said, it's going to be a little scary, but it is going to be like you're just talking to another human across the screen from you. And for better or for worse, it's here. If you had to choose based off of today's questions and answers, which AI source would you most likely be using?
ChatGPT. It's not even close.
Yeah,
Google doesn't have the finesse that ChatGPT has yet.
There it is. That's a good word, is the finesse. It doesn't. Google, like I said at the beginning, I love Google sometimes, but it's just like when Google did Google Plus. You remember Google Plus? That was their foray into like social media, and it was the worst. Google Plus was the absolute worst. And so all they did was buy YouTube and was like, hey, this is going to be our social media platform. We'll do everything that all the other social medias are doing and just throw it on YouTube. And that's what Google is best at. So I'm kind of curious to see how long Bard lasts, and if there's actually going to be a battle between ChatGPT and Bard in the future. But yeah, that is the episode, guys. We've had fun today. We've plugged a lot of people today. If we didn't plug you, just plug yourself in the comments and we will shout you out. As always, good morning, noon, and night. Have a wonderful time. And can I say it this time?
Go for it.
Let's get building. Boom. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Building Great Sales Teams podcast. We really do appreciate it. As you know, we believe that great leaders build great teams. How do you become a great leader? You learn from the greats. Join us at the $1 Million Mastermind put on by Ryan Stewman in Frisco, Texas, and learn everything that you need to learn to be that great leader. The link will be in the description below. As always, we ask that you like, share, and subscribe wherever you consume podcasts so you can stay up to date with the Building Great Sales Teams podcast. Let's get building.